And welcome to another great episode of Framing New Heights. My name is Michael Hicks, the host with the most. I don't even have a microphone. I'm just going here. I'm super excited about today's podcast. I've got so much to say. And if you've checked out the description, that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm super pumped about it. I'm super excited about it. However, before we even start the podcast, I always like to give a word from our sponsors. Can't sleep, got the aches and pains. You got to check out the CBD oil, which is Amos tested, proven formula. This stuff truly works. If you've been struggling with sleep, you got the aches and pains. We get to an age where we need sleep. Statistics show that if you don't get sleep for a long period of time, it's like you are in a drunken stupor. Like, believe it or not, sleep is so monumental for us because it even controls and helps our heart. Heart attacks occur when we don't get quality sleep. Keep that in mind. So if you want to take advantage of the CBD proven formula, Amish tested, this stuff works. Get 50% off at checkout just by putting in cap locks, New Heights, and you get 50% off. There's different sizes, and you're only going to get 50% off on this podcast. So now's the opportunity to do so. Please go ahead and check that out if you'd like. Again, Framing New Heights is giving you the offer of the CBD oil, which is proven formula. It's amazing. I swear by this product. It helps me sleep, helps me stay focused, and really eliminates those aches and pains. Well, I'm about to get into our topic. However, before I even start, if you are truly struggling, and if you're struggling with maybe a career, maybe your relationships, just something doesn't feel right internally, you keep lying to yourself over and over and over. When was the last time you looked in the mirror and said enough's enough? When was the last time you had someone in your back pocket that can help you align with your true self, your true purpose? Well, that's what Liv2Thrive is all about. I've been doing this now for over 25 years and built my brand and my agency here for about 3 years. And it's just been such a beautiful thing to provide value to so many people like yourself. If you want to get more information about my program and exactly how it works, you can go to www.liv2thrive.com, or you can simply email me. Really simple. It's michael@liv2thrive.com. That's LIV, the number 2, thrive.com. And I can get you set up. What I'll do is by getting you set up, I'll have you fill out a simple questionnaire to see if it works and to see if it's in alignment. See if I can actually help you create that change that you've been wanting. And before we even get to that, the next piece then, I would send you a video. It's a 10-minute video. Watch the video. See what I'm about. And then if you like it, then you can do the questionnaire. So I had those two reversed. So, and then after that, if that's what you believe, I can help create that change, but I got to see if I can do it myself. If then what I do is I send you a link and we do a 1-hour free journey call where I show you where you are and where you will end up when you are at the finishing of my program. Sound pretty awesome? It's been amazing. I have transpired and changed so many people, following closer to my biblical teachings and bringing them closer to Jesus Christ, building that spiritual hunger piece. That's truly something that you've been missing and longing for. I'm telling you, it's monumental to create the change. And a lot of people don't know where to start and how to do it. I've got the 25 years of experience to show you how you can do that. All right, are you ready to get in? Because I am ready to get in. I'm ready to talk about today because today is going to be monumental. Again, thank you so much for joining. You could be anywhere in the entire world. You are here today with me. I'm going to grab a drink of water here. So today we're talking about what to do if you want to get stronger boundaries. We talk about, man, you say yes so many times, right? You're saying yes, 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 yes to everything. And you're not prioritizing truly what matters or truly what is aligning yourself. So a little bit of today is I'm going to provide some framework under my Liv2Thrive umbrella to really hone in on the reality of time and boundaries. So there's a statistic out there that I want to kind of talk about, and it's by the American Psychological Association. Now check this out. They reported that 40% of adults say that they rarely or never feel in control of their time. That is almost half of the population of the United States of America. And is that you? Here's another statistic. According to a Gallup poll, only 15% of people worldwide feel fully engaged in their work, in their relationships, as a mother or father. Like, these are crazy statistics. And then what it ties into and what I'm going to talk about today? It ties into poor boundaries and mismanaged priorities. And I'm going to go into that. Excuse me. So if you really want to get some blueprint information today on how to really create the success of really putting more time and boundary back in, I'll tell you, when you get off this podcast today in this episode, you're going to be able to get more time back. I'm going to give you the blueprint today. All right. So here's what needs to happen. All right. So if you are on a workout or wherever you might be when you're listening to this, maybe it's a car ride or whatever, so it's maybe hard for you to write some notes, but you need to pause this piece because I'm going to give you 3 things that need to happen immediately in order to create any type of reality of time and boundaries. Here we go. Number 1, define what matters most. What in your life matters most? For me, it's spending quality time with my daughter as long as God has given me the opportunity to. Now, being a divorced father and only seeing my daughter 50% of the time, in which I finally, after years of fighting, I finally have a fair and equitable schedule, which that's an entirely different podcast, but it took some time and work, which kind of sucks. However, I don't look backwards. I look forward. Number 2, the big one, create non-negotiables. If you don't know how to create non-negotiables, get on that journey call with me. I can help you align and show you how to build that. But here's the thing, things that are time suckers, things that really are vampire time suckers at taking energy and time out of who you are aligned to be. Are you doing things? I recently had a client that's on in my 90-day reboot mastermind class and didn't have any boundaries set up in place. So decides to ask and help a friend and spends half of their day going over there. And originally the intent was to help build a project. That never happened because they never had the tools. So we had to talk about how moving forward that you are going to create non-negotiables. So a framework of questions before you go over there. Make sense? Awesome. So the third piece is what I want you to do is you're going to identify the distractions that consume your time. So what I do with my clients is I take their schedule, they send it to me. I have a system set up where I can then populate it and give it back to them and show them where they can get 2 hours back of their time. Proven. Time management 101. It works. I swear by it. All right. So as I'm progressing into the next segment here is there's a study by Harvard Business Review, and they found that people who set, drumroll please, clear boundaries report, ready for this? 25% higher job satisfaction. And the big key here takeaway is 40% lower burnout rates. How many of you are like, man, I'm just surviving? You know, I've worked with teachers in the past, and teachers are just a blessing to our society, but they give themselves up. They don't even think about themselves. They're thinking about everybody else except themselves. They think about lesson plans and the kids, and then they bring the weight home of the kids. And the next thing you know, they're binge eating, staying up late, watching Netflix to just self-soothe, and they have no boundaries in place. And I have helped strategize with a proven formula that I have encountered in the 25 years of doing this programming, which is Liv2Thrive. So here's what needs to happen. All right, for boundaries to look like in practice. All right, I'm going to give you some really concrete information. Here we go. So the first one, and there's 4 of them, boundaries with work. All right, so it's almost the self-audit piece, which I talk often on my reels and my shorts, is boundaries with work. So you need to get specific. You need a specific stop. Stick with me, I'll finish. You need specific start times. Specific. I don't want to get too much into this, but I'm going to say this. If you have, everybody's got a calendar, right? Everybody's got their calendar. I've got mine. In fact, I've got 2 of them. And if your values are not aligning with your calendar, boundaries are going to be a huge problem for you. And I know that was really, you're like, Michael, what do you mean by that? If your values are not aligned with, so for example, let me explain. You're on a fitness journey, right? And your significant other is like, Let's go out to eat 3 times a week. You're on a fitness journey, so you're counting macros. You've got a coach. Hire a coach, people. Just going to tell you. Hire a coach. The fitness portion is part of my programming. There's more into building your best self because I think it starts with internally, but that's one piece I'm going to strongly suggest. Hire a coach if you're going to get in the fitness industry. So my point is, they want to go out to eat, or then they have this lavish vacations to California where they're going to hit up 3 wineries. So are your values aligned with your calendar or what your goals may want to be? All right. So, and the other piece is you have to learn how to say no to extra tasks. Critical for developing quality boundaries, all right, is the ability to say no. How many times during the day are you saying yes? Think about that. The second one, boundaries. Boundaries with relationships. Whoo, boy, this one's big. It's a lot of what I do. I work with couples as well that have gone through divorce and that are struggling with their inner person, or intimacy, emotionally and physically in the relationship. So boundaries with relationships. So one, you got to understand how to protect energy. Protecting energy. What are you giving energy to? Because your significant other doesn't load the dishwasher correctly, are you giving into that negative energy? Or are you letting it go? And then the next piece to boundaries with relationships is limiting toxic interactions. That is I don't have enough time to go into all of that. That could be a separate podcast in itself. But I'm gonna just say this. Is your relationship toxic? Are you attacking the person, or are you attacking the problem? Keep that in mind when there's a disagreement or an argument in a relationship. That does happen. And it's important that there's a safe place in your relationship that your significant other can call you out without your ego getting in the way. Make sense? Awesome. Number 3, what else needs to happen? Michael, here's what you need. You need boundaries with self-regulation. And I'm going to go in on the self-regulation. Screen time. How much time are you spending on your screen? Late at night, scrolling. This was actually part of my mastermind class that I talked about. This is why, as soon as you go on, you get caught up. It gets caught up. Man, it's good. 1 hour later, 2 hours. You've wasted 2 hours of your night scrolling. So regulate screen time. You can set that up on your phone. Regulate food. I want to tell you, at 52 years old, I still have abs. And I still, in fact, I just ate last night. I had 3 Bismarcks. Those are donuts, y'all. I know how to eat. And the reason why I know how to eat is because I have a lot of nutritional background. I have my CSCS, which is one of the highest certifications you can get as a personal trainer. Yet I don't miss out. If I want to have pizza, I have pizza. But I know how to plan. If I have a friend that's having a birthday party, like some people, what I do is with my clients is I usually tell them to eat beforehand before they go to the party. However, keep this perspective in mind. All right. Food in itself needs to be self-regulated. It is saddening and sickening to see where we are headed. And it just, I'm grimacing here because men that have these distended, pregnant bellies. Wow. Where's your self-discipline? Where's your in alignment of your body is your temple, as the Bible says? Where has that been? Like, talk to me on that. Like, what happened? Michael, you just don't understand my story, man. No, I do. Because if you checked out a reel of mine that I posted, what I looked like in February of last year, I had distended belly too. I was with you, man. I was with you. I got comfortable. I didn't get comfortable. I got complacent. Comfortability is okay, especially in relationships. Complacency is the one that creates disaster. So the next piece is alcohol. That needs to be regulated. Me personally, I don't find a understanding of why people drink. I truly, it doesn't program well in my head. It feel like people need to have drinks in their hand to socialize because they're so awkward. They don't know how to talk. And then what happens is 1, 2 beverages. Now they get that liquid courage. I remember calling it that term when we were in college back in the day. Liquid courage, because now you're more sociable. Just hire a coach. They can help you on that journey. Like, let's just call it a spade a spade. That's also that's self-gratification, for that quick dopamine hits. It doesn't last long term, y'all. It just doesn't last. And one of the last things that you really need to hone in and really create boundaries with is when's the last time you did a self-audit on unhealthy habits? When did you do a self-audit on healthy habits? Men, I'm going to get brutal here. Like, are you looking at porn? Michael, you just went down the deep end. I did. I didn't even warn you. I just went in. Those are unhealthy habits because they're unrealistic expectations. Why don't you do the same thing in your own marriage, your own relationship? You can do that with yourself. You don't have to search somewhere else to get it. Or maybe you just don't have that vulnerability with your significant other. What are your unhealthy habits that you do when no one else is watching? You work a 9 to 5, and then because of the stress of your job, your wife's at home, she makes a beautiful dinner. Because of the stress at home, you stop at McDonald's on the way home. And you fill up with 3,000 carbohydrates, calories that don't help you. Never eat there. And don't just take my advice, look it up. If you were to survey 100 nutritionists, you might get one that would say it's okay to eat there if there was a zombie apocalypse. So what are your self-regulating screen time, food, alcohol, and unhealthy habits? With me so far? Awesome. I'm going to skyrocket and get us to the fourth one here. Boundaries with technology. Oh, man. I'll be fully transparent here. I struggle with this because I've got these new systems in place for my business, and I just want to work. I know. I'm a coach, and I'm telling you my flaws. I think that's what makes me a good coach is I'm very much aware, and I'm working on that with I have a business coach, I have a life coach, I have a therapist, but I'm working on that with them. Is the boundaries with technology and also notifications. How quickly are you to pick up your phone when you get an email, when you get a text? Which brings me to the next piece, email. I tell my clients is no checking email after 7 p.m. at night. None. The other thing is what are your boundaries with social media? And I talked about that earlier, endlessly scrolling. So I want you to it even might be media. Maybe you need to set up some boundaries with media. So instead of when you wake up in the morning and turning the news on simply because you want to be aware of what's going on in the world, why don't you begin by listening to a sermon by Pastor Craig from Life Church for 30 minutes while you're doing something? Why are you allowing your mind, your visualization, your eyes attract something so negative? When was the last time that the news gave you something good? I don't remember when the last time the news was. And you know why it's so addicting? You know why? Because it's evil. It's wrong. There's no good news out of it. What good news are you finding about it? whether you're watching something from the president now with what they're doing, and obviously I'm streaming in different, I'm in six different continents now. So for the United States, maybe it's the politics that you really are into. Why? Because at the end of the day, y'all, you know who's in control of this whole situation? Because there's a spiritual warfare that's going on. Man, I don't have enough time to talk about all that, but there's a spiritual warfare that's going on there are demons fighting and there are angels fighting, and they're fighting for you. Believe it. All right. I want to jump into my next segment. And the next segment 3, is what prioritizing time actually means. Okay. I'm going to spend a few minutes on this. There's a statistic that I want to share with you that the average person spends about 2 hours and 31 minutes a day on social media. This report was in 2024. I know we're a little over halfway through 2025. And here's another crazy statistic is there's a study that shows executives. So, and I, mind you, in my programming, I work with CEOs, I work with doctors, I work with lawyers, I work with first responders, I work with educators. But here's the thing. The study showed that executives spend about 28% of their work time. You ready for this? Managing their email. And time is rarely aligned with what their top big goals are. I was at a leadership summit, global summit, full of a lot of leaders, and they had this great synopsis about meetings, right? Or emails. And for the sake of the podcast, and I want to stay on track here, or the episode of this podcast, is there are different ways. If you have to write 1 to 2 to 3 paragraphs in an email, that should be a face-to-face conversation, right? It takes the amount of time. It's better off. Like there's different ways to communicate, right? And what I want to tell you, those of you that are in executives, and I get it, you've got all these goals and all these things that you got to accomplish, and you're firing out these emails left and right, and then people are dreading Sunday nights because they spend their time, their family night, spending 2 hours to get caught up on emails. That should not work. And it won't work. Here's what needs to happen. I want you to prioritize 3 priorities for this week. So when you're hearing this podcast, when it drops, I want you to go from that Wednesday to the next Wednesday. So top 3 priorities for the week. That's what you need to do. Number 2, break priorities into daily focused points. Get microscopic about this. Detailed oriented. I run into so many people that they say, oh, they got a plan. And I ask them what their plan is. I'm just going to put faith in God. Great start. No denying that. But you also got to have a roadmap along the way. A plan that is going to lead you to understand that if this happens, what are you going to do? The third piece is assign time blocks to those priorities. I will tell you, I've got a free PDF on this that has like 40 some different strategies for time blockage. If you want that, you can go to Michael at liv2thrive.com, LIV, the number 2 thrive.com. And I can go ahead and send that just in their right time blocks and ask for the free PDF. I will absolutely give that to you. And then lastly, those time blocks that I just talked about, protect those blocks with like clear boundaries. You have to have specific, if you are going to be working from this time to this time, you have to have clear boundaries and no interruptions. It has to be a must. All right. Moving to segment 4. There's a cost if there are no boundaries set. Did you know this? And it's generally, it hits you long term. And it continues then manifesting and creates this burnout sensation. And maybe some of you are already there. That's why you're listening to this podcast today, which I know it's going to help you and provide you with some tactical information. So there's a statistic that the World Health Organization officially classified burnout as an unoccupational phenomenon in 2019. Okay. And it's because of the following. It's because of lack of boundaries and overload, which leads then to certain causes. Okay. Here's another statistics. There's studies that show that people who fail to prioritize their time are 2.5 times more likely. Are you ready for this? To report anxiety, stress-related health problems. I did a recent podcast and I talked about with her name is Marlene, amazing human. Make sure you check out that episode. And I asked her this question. I said, is mental health associated with spiritual hunger? And we both agreed. And here's what I mean. If you're not allowing time in spiritual awareness every day, you're going to feel angst. You're going to have stress-related health issues. I cannot tell you enough. There are two areas that really need to get focused on besides the mindset. My whole programming is Live to Thrive, right? Where it's the mindset, the body, and discovering purpose, your soul. So when that spiritual hunger is taken in 20 minutes a day minimum is what I think you need. You can follow a simple program. And in fact, you can even add me on the Bible app. You can add me as a friend. Just look me up, Michael Hicks. And there are options on there where I can pray for you and learn about your journey a little bit. So it's pretty kind of cool. So if you want to get another free way to get to see what I'm doing. So I'm on the 365-day Bible plan, and it has been, it's been amazing. It has taught me so many things about life, about business, about how to be a quality father, how to be successful in anything we do. So I'm highly going to suggest that if you don't want to be that 2.5% more likely to report anxiety and stress-related health problems, begin with spiritual hunger. Fill that void. Here's what needs to happen. 3 things need to happen. Recognize the warning signs of poor boundaries. Okay, here they are. Here is where you are at. You know, I have a client of mine that came to me and is like, Michael, I just don't have enough time and I'm feeling fatigued and then I get sick and then I'm shut down for 2 or 3 days. It's because you do not know how to set up quality boundaries. If you're feeling fatigue, if you have resentment and even procrastination, these are 3 simple signs of poor boundaries. You know, unless you were like me, now I think like over 10 years ago, it might have been a little longer than that now. I had like chronic fatigue. I was waking up so foggy after getting quality night's sleep that I was fatigued. I would push through workouts. I started to gain weight. It was because the other part is your sleep. You may have sleep apnea. I had that. I did. And now I have a CPAP machine and it stopped that. However, but if I just want to get back, that was a little side nugget to that. So signs of poor boundaries, again, are fatigue, resentment, and procrastination. Number 2, here's what else needs to happen if the cost of not setting boundaries happens. Replace reactive scheduling. Reactive, notice the key word, underline reactive scheduling with proactive scheduling. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when we're able to do that concept and then align, that's the value piece that I talked about with your schedule. Like if you're valuing, let me take that again, take 2. If you are valuing fitness into your calendar, where is it? If you are valuing spiritual hunger so you can avoid being anxious, worrying, overthinking, fear, where is that in your calendar? Number 3, here's what else needs to happen. You need to, and I'm going to get in close on this, you need to communicate limits clearly and consistently. I am not able to do that. You have to say no. Michael, you don't understand, because if I say no to my boss, I'm going to get fired and someone else. They're probably going to respect you more if you let them know I have these projects right now, I certainly can take that project, but that's not going to fall in alignment until these are finished. So it's going to go down here. So either you can wait till I'm finished with this because that's my priority right now, or I can go here and then I can get exhausted, burnt out, fatigued, anxiety, like all of that. Like generally, quality leaders want you to be successful. And if they don't, then you have to ask yourself, are your values aligning with this corporation and this boss that you're working with? It takes a big leap of faith with that. And I also help clients discover that piece as well. I want to close with this because this is a pretty big piece here. Think for a second, like what if you could imagine for a second, I know there's no such thing as perfect, but if you could imagine what your life would look like with strong boundaries, I just want to pause for a second and have you think about that. Just take a moment and think about what would life look like with strong boundaries. There's a study, another study done by, who was it by? I think it was the Journal of Occupational Health. Yeah, it was JOH. Yep. So it shows that strong personal boundaries reduce up to 60%, or let me say, reduce stress levels up to like 60%. And then what's also amazing by it boosts productivity by nearly 50%. So here's what needs to happen. I've got 4 things that need to happen. You need to commit to protecting your time as one of the most valuable assets. I will say this, and I'm going to say it again. If I say to you, I'll give you $1 million today, would you take it? All of you would say yes. But if I say, however, if I give you $1 million today, however, you cannot wake up tomorrow, would you take it? No, because time is your most valuable asset. Don't say you're going to do it tomorrow. How do you know you have tomorrow? How do you know? God willing. True individuals that have a quality relationship with Jesus Christ, they will say, if it's God's will, I will be there. It's not our will. We have a clock, y'all. 2 things that are definite in our life. When we are born, and when we die. Number 2, align your boundaries with your values. And I've been talking about this. Your values, your goals, and your identity. If you don't know your identity, let's have a private conversation. And it took me a while. Literally, I was like, I feel like I'm worth so much more. The best investment I ever did was work with a coach. I worked with a coach. And Tony Robbins and his crew, it did cost a lot of money at the time. And I was terrified, but I'd do it all over again and probably spend double. It's the best thing I've ever done in my life. Number 3, reassess and redefine your boundaries regularly. I do it roughly every month. I think that's a good piece because it shows, I like to see tangible ready marks and benchmarks that I'm accomplishing so that I can either reassess or change. Sometimes I have to change. So I'll give you an example. I started out with 250 words a day for my book. But then as I was doing some research, and the goal is, it's a goal is to at least have it published on my birthday, which is March 29th. I think that'd be a pretty cool moment. So I changed the goal and I put it to 500 words a day. It's 20 minutes a day. 20 minutes. So I want you to reassess and refine your boundaries regularly. Number 4, surround yourself with people who respect and honor your anchored time. So monumental. Running a business, being a dad, being on different podcasts, doing keynote speeches, sometimes traveling. The one thing that I've learned through my process is is our time. Our time is one of the most valuable commodities we can give. It's more important than money. I had a great friend. I'm gonna give a shout out to him right now, John Godbert. I love him. He's like one of my best friends, and he has a landscaping business. And his landscaping business, he decided to take on a project that he underbidded significantly because he has a heart and he walks in alignment, I think, of Jesus Christ. Does he make errors of mistakes? Of course. But he completely underbidded this property. So he reached out to me and he's like, man, I need some time. I need some help. I said, okay. Again, going back to what I talked about. However, I respect him immensely. I love him like a brother. He's like a ride or die kind of guy. And so I said, absolutely. So I remember that morning I woke up and my daughter was about to get picked up. And my daughter goes, Dad, what are you doing today? And I was like, well, I'm helping John with his landscaping business. She's like, do you want to do that? I go, I don't really like to do it or want to do it. I said, as my voice screeches high. However, I think it's the right thing to do. And I did. I gave him my time. He didn't pay me. I gave him, let's see, I got there around 9:30 and worked till about 3. And in that time frame, I had a therapy appointment, and I was probably about 45 minutes. So in there, I was able to take that therapy appointment in my car. But then I came back and I helped him. So the last thing that you really need is just to surround yourself with people who respect you and honor your time. If you make plans with someone and they cancel, imagine how much they honor your time and respect who you are. That's what I got for you today. I hope that this podcast was amazing. If you truly like this podcast, I kindly ask that you share with 5 of your friends, really maybe somebody that's really on a journey of growth and wanting to create some change. Because here's the thing, boundaries aren't walls, y'all. They're the doors that let the right things in and keep the wrong things out. And when you set them, that's when you begin to prioritize your time and you begin to reclaim your energy and your focus and ultimately your life. I truly hope that you enjoyed the podcast today. My name is Michael Hicks, the host with the most. Appreciate the love, appreciate the support. We are coming up to season 3, which is coming up, I think, in November, which I'll be dropping. I don't know why I'm thinking about fall, but we're getting close to the end of August here and when this is recorded. So I wish you nothing but prosperity, love, and success. And as always, 1% better in mind, body, and soul. Stay flexed.